Hello? Okay, we're going to get started with our next presentation. Gather around, y'all. Come on inside, gang. We're all ready to go for our next presentation.
So thank you for taking the time to take a little bit of a tangent from BuzzTouch. And this is really about you folks being independent folks and developing solutions for your clients and supporting your clients use your solutions in a productive way such that you're not caught in an endless loop between a question and answer, and you don't have a chance to move on to your next project. I'm sure many of you have experienced that. So let's just go, okay, so let me tell you what the end result will be. Some of you have seen the push notifications document that I created and published out there. After I finished documenting the push notifications, it turned out to be something like 83 pages, 83 pages of documentation. And this is not a high school kid who's triple spacing on purpose, trying to meet his teacher's requirement. So I'm going to pass this around and just let you guys get a sense of it. Look at the, sorry? Yeah. So look at the table of contents, and it'll give you a sense of the structure and the kind of structure you can put into your documentation. I'm not saying that you should create 83 pages of this, but you can think of it as like, okay, if I create 5 pages of that, that becomes of utility to your customers and your clients.
Don't give Mark ideas.
And then we'll be using a tool, and so we'll go through it real life on creating the documentation. And then at the end, I'll show you where the tool is actually for cheap. I think in 1 or 2 more days, the deal is still going on. And just a coincidence that there's a deal going on. Okay. So what are the types of documentation do you normally have? You have processes that you need to document and the instructions on how to execute those processes. You often have how to do something, whether it's in a step-by-step format or as a single one-pager. It really is the kind of thing that's appropriate for our set of community. Now, why would you document at all? Because we want to help our clients. And so in what kind of sense? Is we want them to be self-sustaining, self-supporting, and so in other words that translates to do it yourself. And often they don't go to, let's say you expose the control panel of BuzzTouch to them, they don't go to the control panel often, so they forget how to manipulate this or that. So this documentation will help them say, okay, I remember how to do this, or give them a sense of safety, reassurance that, oh, okay, I don't have to call them at midnight because that's where I'm having the trouble right now. The other part is the quick lookup, and the third bullet, the self-sustaining one here, the redo, rewind. This is really something important that at the CEO of Khan Academy, he relayed on why it's important for kids in the education market to be able to watch videos at home as homework assignments because they're doing it at their own pace. No one's standing over their shoulder, do you get it yet? Do you get it yet? Come on, we got to move on. So they're doing it at their own pace. Same thing with your clients, is they want to follow your instructions at their own pace. And if you give them something, they'll be able to do that at home in their comfort zone. Now that's the client side. Let's talk about the developers, you folks. Why would you want to do this? Is you don't want those phone calls, like I said earlier. You want to just move on to your next project. So that will reduce those kind of questions from them. Now also remember, use that opportunity every time they do ask you a question, document it and say, I'll get it back to you, I'll get you the answer, and I'll mail it to you or hand it over to you in a couple of days. So every time you answer a question in the form of documentation, you're actually building up your FAQ. And it's a tangible FAQ. It's not just lost in the telephone conversation. All right, the second bullet is addressing things such as you do roll out a product, and then you roll out a product for app B, then you forget. What did I do? How did I do that? So this documentation actually serves as a checklist for yourself. Did I think about this? Did I remember to do that? And how did I do that? So not only you document for your clients, but you also document for yourself. I think these things, I've repeated it already. The bottom line is really important. Yeah, but you told me to click on the left and this orange button and then something, wait, it vanished now. So again, you got it documented. Now, if this guy over here made a change and moved some buttons around on the control panel, then we got to go and redocument it. So you say, you know, Mark's been wonderful documenting things, and he might be using Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. It's actually hard to do that. When you're building up document to that level of extent, to 83 pages or even a 10-pager, because you're trying to insert an image screenshot into it. Then this little dog gets in your way, and you type some text there, the dog moves on you. And so it's like, what the hell, dog, get out of my way. And so there's tools out there that make it easy, and you just take a screenshot, annotate, and move on, and start documenting, bam, bam, bam. The other part, the last bullet, is once you've done that documentation, how do you distribute it? How do you send it out? You might want to put it on the website. You might want to email it. You might want different formats of it. Again, if you use any of these two tools, Word or PowerPoint, it's hard to accommodate in the way that your clients want it. and publish it and make it available. Okay, so today, what are we going to learn? We're going to learn how to create new documentation using images, write on the images, annotate them, sequence the images and the instructions into a particular order, and learn how to reorder them. If you realize you had an epiphany, you can easily change things around, and then share it. And the big deal is when David changes something on the control panel, you can easily update it and republish it. So that's a key point. So I've been talking about documentation a lot. We're passing around that physical handout, that spiral-bound handout. But this is what the tool basically is structured around. Documentation is a manual. So it's this manual on the right side. It consists of chapters. Inside each chapter, there's a series of lessons. And then within each lesson, there's steps. So you can kind of see the outline here in the orange and the green ones. And just get your mind a little bit attuned around that, and then we'll start going through that. And as a pun, I said it's a book. Documentation is not David's book, but it's a manual. Okay, so we're going to document an app. And we're going to document an app in the BuzzTouch way. So first of all, we want to build an app. Mark, I think you're the one who's saying earlier in the morning, what's your tip? So plan it out. Right. So this is one way to plan it out in a diagram or a table of contents. This is just a visual table of contents. And so what we're going to do is have the home screen and then three major levels of three navigation levels. At the top, history, about us, and business. Then underneath that, we have more tabs and structure and indentation. So let's translate that to BuzzTouch. What would that mean? Can you guys read these words back there? Okay, so our home screen is going to be a tab layout. We're going to specify, okay, we're going to use a tab layout. And what's the history one going to be? It's going to be tab number 1, and it's going to be a screen type menu. The About Us is going to be tab number 2. However, that's going to be the button menu. The business one is going to be tab number 3, and that's a table list, so a menu. The history leads to 2 series of HTML content. The About Us has 2 branches into photos and more. And then the more leads to a map and email. The business line is simply pointing to businesses, which are stores, and it's using the URL menu plugin. So any questions? This is all pretty straightforward for most of us here. We just want to make sure that we're all synced up in what we're going to start documenting. Okay, let's bounce over. Okay, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use a tool called Screen Steps. So you can go to screensteps.com, and it's around $60, I think, or $30, something like that. There's a Screen Steps and there's Screen Steps Pro. You can don't have to buy that, because with Screen Steps, you will be building something as complex as what I put out, which is a manual with chapters, lessons, and steps. Often you'll get by just with a single lesson and a bunch of steps, and that's typically what Mark's been putting out. So there's a little brother tool of Screen Steps called Clarify, and I'll show you and talk to you about that. But I'm going to use.
That code right there, right?
I'm sorry?
It's free if we use that.
Yeah. Right. So their license is, it's a good thing you mentioned that. Yeah. Yeah. So their licensing is really nice in the sense of put it on any number of computers, but just use it once, meaning don't use both computers at the same time running Screen Steps at the same time. You can alternate. And so it's flexible in that regard. It's nice. Okay, so you can see here, let's just show you here. Here's the push notifications one. And so the introduction are chapters, so the bold items on the Mac with keychain, and then these individual ones are lessons. So within each one is a series of steps which I numbered 1, 2, 3, and so on. So you can see I took screenshots. I annotated it with the number 1. I blurred out my team ID value. I can put arrows on it. I put text underneath here underneath the screenshot to put words along with the instructions. Okay, so let's go do this one for real now. So we're going to make a new manual. BuzzTouch conference number 13, and then we start a new chapter, and we'll label it Getting Started. So inside that chapter, we want to make a lesson. Log into BuzzTouch. And we'll go into that lesson and start adding steps to it. So the steps are the deepest level of your documentation. So add a step, and that's it, log in. I want to take a screenshot of that, but first, how many seconds will I need? So I have choices. I can take an instant screenshot, or I can delay a few seconds so that I can get set up on the resulting screen on the control panel and do the pull down that I need it to be and so on. So let's see if this is going to work. On this small monitor projector, I'm not sure if it's going to show up. I think it's, let me quit PowerPoint. Yeah, because it's 1024 projector, not being able to show you the capture palette. Okay, that's all right. All right, so I'm going to put a 4-second time on there, and notice I have here the BuzzTouch login screen. So I'll click on here, and it's, can you see? Yeah, it's counting down, and so I can position my cursor into PowerPoint there. And typically, so when you're creating documentation, think about what your client is doing. Your client's staring at the screen, and you show this part, let's say. You show this part. And that's the capture that you take. So let's take a capture of that and put in there. And think about your client looking at this big canvas, and you expect her to find that login box. Sometimes it's hard for them to find that one. Login box is pretty evident, but once you start pointing out check boxes and so on, it's hard for them to find it. So instead of doing that, let's take another picture. And this time what we'll do is always orient the client, if you can, into the upper left, especially where a logo is. Because they know now, okay, bam, that's where I got to go. So I'll take that picture. So you see how easy it was just to swap out pictures? That's fantastic, because I can't take pictures and, oh, I changed my mind. It's no heartache. The friction is gone, as opposed to Word or PowerPoint. And so then I would tap on here, and what they have here is a toolbar. So you can grab an arrow, you can crop the picture, add lines to it, point out rectangle with ovals. This is the one that won me over. The sequence fellow. So I said, I got a sequence I need to talk about. Here's 1, type in the email address. Here's 3. You might want to hit the checkbox, and then finally log in. Did you realize there's 4 things you need to do just to log in? Not many people would have thought of it that way. This is what you got to think about, is from your client's perspective, pretend they are ignorant. They're not stupid, or they're not half listening to you. They're just ignorant. So put yourself in that perspective and tell them everything. Assume nothing. Because humans are pretty good at, oh, I already know that. Okay, I'll skip past that. But at least you told them. And so I'll scroll down a little bit below, and you'll see this. There's this white box here. That's actually where you can add in instructions. So you can say, one, use the email address that was given to you by XYZ Solutions to know your password. 3, enable the Remember Me capability. Click on the login box. And that's pretty simple. So any questions so far? I think it's pretty self-evident, right?
What are you using again for this?
It's a tool called Screen Steps.
Is it just for Mac?
No, it's Mac and Windows. So, yeah. So I'm sorry. Yeah. So back to the license code is up for one platform or the other.
It's fine if he is.
Yeah. And so they have a younger brother tool called Clarify. And so that's the one I'm recommending to you guys. And so you might think of it from the perspective of your client asks you, how do I do this? Oh, let me clarify that for you. And you use the tool called Clarify.
You have like a little tool in there where you can gray out passwords or something like that?
Yeah, let's do that. So I want to gray out my email address, right? So there's a blur tool on the extreme right, and you just drag it over, and it's done. It's also adjustable. So let's say you don't drag it perfectly, you can make it bigger and so on. And so just for fun, since we're on here, let's put arrows on here. You can change. I prefer this format because if you print it in color, you can see red and yellow and so on. But you can change, your stuff, and you can apply it just to this particular step, your changes, or you can apply it to the entire lesson that you're documenting. So you can have global changes or only local changes. You guys notify me when I run out of battery, then I'll stop talking. Okay, so what's the next step after we log in? Now, you notice I'm switching back and forth. Typically, I don't know, I wish I could get the capture palette to show up. Maybe it's showing up off screen because it's this 1024 display. Let me unplug for a minute and see if that's true. Yep, it went way off screen, so I'm going to bring it over here. Okay, let's plug it back in.
Does that program have a spell checker built into it too?
I'm sorry?
Does this thing have a spell checker built into it?
I forget. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. I think that's one of the requests people have been asking for. You might think that a documentation tool, you just do it once and it's done. These people have been in business for, I think, 3 to 4 years, and they're constantly evolving. And said, are you done yet? Are you done yet? But they keep on adding more features. Yeah, it is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, hopefully it'll stay up there, capture palette. Okay, see the capture palette in the upper right? So I'm going to hide screen steps. I'm just going to concentrate on the task at hand, which is logging in. So next step after logging in, okay. This is one of those cases I'm glad that I don't do things like David did, reveal his Gmail password. Accidentally, of course, right, David? So you log in, and the client will say, where do I go for my app? So in this case right now, I'm pretending you guys are the clients, new developers actually. I'm pretending that new developers are the client, and I'm building documentation that we can put onto buzztouch.com, how to get started. We got various forms of how to get started, but let's make the library version, the really intense, deep version of it. So I don't need any delay. So I'm just going to say, okay, right over here. Double tap on here, and so I clicked on applications, and then over here to make a new app, I'm anchoring them in the upper right corner, and they would be tapping on new app, and then have to go there. Oh, wait. So I want about a 4-second delay. Tap on the camera icon. Make sure I underline the item that I want to capture, so it remains underlined. And because it's such a big box, I don't need to anchor them. Okay, so now I tap on there. So I'm not interrupted by my documentation of it. I'm doing capture, 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 and then I'll go back. All those captures are being inserted into screen steps as steps is in the sequence that I've been capturing them. So just to show you I'm not lying. There's all the steps, the captures that I made. So again, your mind flow is simply going through and executing what you want to show and document. And you go back later on and start filling it in for real.
Yeah, how'd you do that? Double tap and insert it into the...
Yeah, or I'll show you another way. I don't need this. So the screen area, so I can double tap in this area, or double click, or I can just simply tap on the camera icon here. And see, if I hit, notice down here, spacebar changes the capture mode. So I can redraw it if I want to, another part of it. R is a nice one. Where did I capture it last? And if I'm in the same kind of screen each and every time, I just say R, 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 and just hit the camera icon. So I'll just, yeah. Okay, so I'll click on the camera icon there and submit. And so I might hurry up and capture that. Notice it already flipped, but the capture buffer is saying I just had the previous one in there. So I can give the user some assurance. You know, if you see the spinning thing, don't worry about it. It'll conclude. You know, don't fret. Okay, then I want them to go there, so I need a little bit of delay. You can see I'm real. Yeah, so let me show that. So because both of these are orange, which one am I expecting the person to click on? So I want it to capture like that. Yeah. Okay, so this is the biggest part, I imagine. David, you can confirm it or not, but once somebody's gone through this and they made a fake app or their first ever app, they're puzzling, saying, where the heck do I go next? I got all these menu possibilities. Where do I really start?
No, you're exactly right. In fact, Ian and I have spent a lot of time on some ideas and completely revisiting this whole, we call it the onboarding experience, because once we do it a few times, then we don't care that it's not right. You know, we're like, okay, that's just the way it is. And when you're new, that's significant.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a big hurdle. And you guys, by the way, kudos to you. I pushed people to go attend a new user webinar, and they come back and said it was fantastic. So you're doing really well at it. So I would say the first place you start off is layout tabs. So remember our, oh, forgot about this.
We're going dual screen.
Yeah. So just put this up here so people can reference. That's what we're trying to build. Let's see if this guy stays up.
How many iPads has the guy got? You have one in your back pocket?
No.
It looked like a commercial with a knee and a baby.
Yeah. That's one of the benefits of my particular job. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go in layout and tabs, and what we want to do is do the layout. We want a tab layout. So by default, it is a tab layout, but I forgot to take a picture of it. Again, I just keep repeating myself like a broken record, where we are going to anchor ourselves in the upper left when it matters. And so, name it as needed. So here's another one. So I notice all of a sudden I've been taking all these shots, and as I mouse over the save, it actually changes. He's got a mouse over in there. So maybe that's what I want to do, is I want to capture that mouse over. So I'd say I can beat the computer. I can get there in 2 seconds, sure enough. You can also capture the mouse itself if you want to. I think that's too much clutter, so normally I don't. I leave it disabled. But wait a minute, I said I wanted a tab layout. That was wrong. I should have opened up that guy. Okay, so let's do this again. Okay, so what does the first one say? So history about us and business. I thought about pre-doing all this, but I really want you to see actual instead of me having it all set up. Do I really need icons at this point? No? Okay, I forgot. Okay, so I took that wrong, so let me take it again. I want the save button in there. So at this point, I said to myself, I think I took a bunch that I want to delete. So let's pause for a moment and go back to screen steps. And it's showing you the very last one he took. So just use the arrow or scroll bar. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put save this one as the name of that particular step. And the other ones I'm going to delete. So the way you can do this is, let's see if I can find it, is inspector. Yeah. So tap on that one, and I can look at it on the left. Said, nope, I don't need that one. Hit the delete key and delete that guy. Okay, next one. Yeah, I think, well, no, I want a tab layout. Yeah, I do want that one. And so let's go ahead and give it a name. Okay, so to go to the next one. That was a non-tab, right? So we want to delete that one. And so I can just mainly click on the blue area and delete it directly like that. And let's go to this one. That one's okay? No, it's not. So delete it, because that's non-tab. What happened? Okay, so we're back to the last one. Save that one. Okay, let's get out of here and finish this off. We hit save. What happened, guys? Icon is required. Okay, so I have to create the screens called history about us and business first. Okay, so yeah. So this is a good thing. So I documented all this, right? and say, oh my God, I got to start over and throw this away. But it's not true. You have it all documented, and you can rearrange it. So let me show you here. So I can save this one up after login. So you can reshuffle things around so that the sequencing makes sense now. So you really don't have to worry too much about making boo-boos or errors or that kind of thing. It's usually not wasted work. Are we going to do it on time? Okay. That's fine. No, 5 minutes is fine. Okay. So let me pause for a moment here. And any questions or techniques that you might want to, I'm going to show you one more thing, which is how to output it into different formats. But before I do that, any questions?
You can bring other images into that too if you wanted to.
You can. So you can drag it off the desktop, and you can also copy it into the clipboard and paste it into PowerPoint or an email, that kind of thing.
Any kind of big screen capturing like Camtasia, like a video?
No, so this is strictly,
Still.
yeah, right.
Like a process I was thinking.
Right. So let me see if I can find it here. Where do we have in here is screens. Yeah, let's do that. And so we'll add a new one. And so you want to point out to them that you want a map screen. Do you expect somebody to find map in this long pull down? It's hard, right? It's hard for anybody. And so what we want to do is open the capture palette and give myself 4 seconds, hit go, and just leave it like that. So now you've gotten somebody who's going to be looking at that kind of screenshot. The OS actually highlighted it for you. And your eyes go, bam, that's where I need to go. So especially for pull downs, the capture palette and the delay is a big deal. All right, so let's go export this out. So you can share it to Clarify. You can transfer the PDF to Clipboard, and you can also transfer HTML to Clipboard. So why HTML to Clipboard? Because then you can go and paste it into Dreamweaver as an example. So all this documentation in the images would go into Dreamweaver. The export is what I really like. Look at all these formats that you have available. Microsoft Word, PDF. So why would you do Microsoft Word and not PDF? We had a situation where I did some documentation and did it all, and the product manager said, we want to change the name of the product slightly. No problem. I export a Word, do a find replace, bam, done. And then you can export it to PDF from there, from within Word. Okay. HTML is, you can actually publish it. You give it your server name, account name, and password. It'll publish it onto that server. It will. It will do that. ScreenSteps Live is their own ScreenSteps in the cloud repository, so you can publish it there. And they have commenting capability and all that for all the steps. And so you don't need your own web server, your own website. You just use their service. This one's also nice, blog and web. It publishes to WordPress and other, like Joomla and so on. It also publishes to wiki systems, so Confluence and other kind of media wiki and so on. Now, what's nice is when you publish it to a blog, it publishes it in the format that's necessary. Then you have to do an update later on and say, how am I going to change this post on this blog, or how am I going to change this page on the blog? It actually overwrites it all. It just replaces it for you. So again, there's no struggle for updating. You just simply do this action right here, and it's exported completely. I'm not going to do any of these exports because you see the end result of that PDF document. Okay, so last step. Warren's ringing the bell, right? this is where you want to go. Go to MacHeist.com. How many more days? 3 days left up here. So I already bought it. It's kind of noisy, this graphics, but it's $10. You get 9 applications. The one that I want you to be aware of is this one here called Clarify. It looks like a Polaroid camera. Let's see here. How do I zoom in? There we go. You see that? $10 for, yeah, 9 apps. Clarify is normally $20 or $25. So it's a great value just right there. I'm sorry? Yeah, just for Mac. And you can write to them after you buy it. I can tweet them, or you can tweet them and just ask them, can I get it for Windows? Can I exchange the Mac serial number for Windows after I purchase it here? I'm pretty sure they'll say yeah. I'm sorry? They do. They do.
It's just that MacHeist is
Yeah.
package bundle service.
Right. Right.
Which is awesome, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. So
How does Clarify compare to the other application? you just showed us?
screen steps.
Screen steps.
Yeah. So Clarify is the little brother of Screen Steps, but Clarify is evolving at a more rapid rate. And it seems like Screen Steps is too complex for a lot of people. You think about it again, manual, chapters, lessons, steps. That's 4 levels of hierarchy. Yeah. So these guys are simply a lesson, which is all you can publish. You're publishing just a lesson, and it's just a series of steps.
Does Clarify have spell checker?
Does it have what?
Spell checker?
I don't know, but I don't know. Yeah, I used a more sophisticated one because that's what I grew up on. I haven't tried Clarify yet. I'm an old dog, don't want to learn new tricks. Yeah. Yep. All right. So thank you for your time.